Welcome to the RPG Elite YouTube channel. Now, what you stumbled upon here is the video that explains what this channel is all about. Now, if I had to break it down, I would cover the three pillars of what RPG Elite is about. So let's do that. Number one, we're about classic tabletop RPGs here. Now, I think it's important to understand that we're not talking about an MMORPG or a CRPG. We're talking about tabletop RPGs. And we're talking specifically about a focus on classic tabletop RPGs. Now, what I define as classic tabletop RPGs are RPGs that are 20 years old or older, which of course in some cases would be older than some of you who are watching right now. I've been playing probably longer than some of you have been in existence. Old doesn't mean that it's useless, and newer doesn't mean that it's better. I mean, look at some of the board games that we still play today that have been around for like eons. Life, Payday, Monopoly, for crying out loud. We're still playing those games. And yeah, there's different iterations of those games, but I got all three of those games upstairs right now. They're all older iterations. I can go upstairs, I can pull it out, I can get a group of good people together, we could play those games and we would have a great time, and it wouldn't matter that we didn't have the newer version. Because the game was just good when it came out, and it still is. And it's the same thing when it comes to tabletop RPGs. These games are still good. Doesn't matter how old they are, they're just still good tabletop RPGs. So those are the ones I want to focus on so that people will not forget them. The next pillar I would say that the RPG Elite YouTube channel sets on would be alternative genre tabletop RPGs. Now that is a long way of saying no fantasy tabletop RPGs here in this house. I don't cover any of them, none. Now when I say cover them, let me explain what I'm talking about. I come out with videos, or try to come out with videos, every Friday and Tuesday. My Tuesday videos are kind of generic videos for anyone, no matter what genre. So I might do a VTT tutorial, or I might do a review on a module, or I might suggest a book or a source that'll help you get motivated for your RPGs. I mean, it's just kind of like a generic thing for everyone, no matter what genre you're playing. But when it comes to covering RPGs, I have what's called a classic tabletop series, and those come out on Fridays. And what I do is I take one particular game and I pick it apart, and I cover in several videos the ins and out, nuts and bolts of the mechanics of that game, how it works. And then at the end of the series, I bring in a couple buddies of mine and we play a full session so you can see how all of those or most of those mechanics work for that particular RPG. I do no fantasy, none. Number one, there's just a glut of fantasy tabletop RPGs out there. As a matter of fact, there are so many fantasy tabletop RPGs that you could combine some of these alternative genres that I'm talking about, and the fantasy genre would dwarf it in number. And so there's plenty of information, not only in the business itself, but also on YouTube and everything. You can find plenty of that. Alternative genre RPGs normally get no love. And I want to expose people to these genres to let them know, listen, there's life outside of fantasy. Trust me on this. Now, I don't have anything against fantasy RPGs. I'm actually running a campaign right now in the One Ring, which is Lord of the Rings. So I don't have anything against fantasy. It's not in my top 3 genres. And my top all-time favorite genre would be superheroes. And then after that would probably be something like supernatural. And then after that, probably be like something like sci-fi, things like that. But I don't have anything against fantasy. I got plenty of fantasy books, all the rest of that. But these games are great and they get no love, and I want to expose people to the enjoyment that they can have through them. Well, the last pillar would be what this channel is named, RPG Elite Philosophy. And what I mean by that is that there is a philosophy behind being an RPG Elite. Now, I know some people right now, they hear RPG Elite and they're bothered. I guess you're just gonna have to be bothered because the name's not changing. And I did that on purpose. The reason why is that I'm serious about the tagline. We put the RP back into RPG. And we've been invaded by a whole bunch of people who don't even understand the whole concept and art form of RPGs. So there's a whole philosophy behind it. As a matter of fact, why don't you guys go right here? Let's go right here. Go right here and look at this playlist where I'm beginning to talk about the RPG Elite philosophy, do an overview on one, and just we go through bit by bit, piece by piece, and what it means to be an RPG Elite, the philosophy itself, all the rest of that. So there's a little bit of something for everyone, but those would be the major pillars on which this channel stands. Now, if you got some questions, or maybe you just want to comment on something that I've said here or in another video, go ahead and do so. As a matter of fact, why don't you just go ahead and start watching some of the other videos here on this channel. Leave a comment, hit like, hit subscribe, hit like or subscribe even for this video, and be involved. So I will see you on the other side, and until then, happy gaming.